brought to you almost live from the Dude in the Basement Studios. Why? Because that's where the good stuff is. It's Sips, Suds, and Smokes with your smoking host, the good old boys. Now it's sippin' time.
Hello, this is Sips, Suds, and Smokes, and today on your Sips segment, I am here at Craft Brewed, and we're enjoying wines from Alexandria Nicole. This is good old boy Mike, and joining me for the segment is good old boy Ryan.
Pleasure to be here.
And we are tasting one vineyard for this discussion, and this is a vineyard out of northern part of California. Is that right, Ryan?
It's actually out of Washington.
Washington. I'm sorry.
Columbia Valley.
Columbia Valley. Boy, I've really butchered that badly. I just can't seem to read the label really well where it says Washington, Mike. All right. I guess we've had one too many gents.
Give me another one, though.
All right. Well, I think that's a different, I think that's number 4.
Oh, okay. Yeah, number 4.
Yeah, that's right. Let's keep the secret. Pour me another. All right. So if you haven't heard our Sips ratings here in Sips, Suds, and Smokes, I'll go through them briefly with you. It is number 1, give me a glass of water to wash out my mouth.
Gangadine, water. Gangadine, bring water. Bring water.
Number 2 is nice, but what else do you have?
Well, isn't that nice?
Number 3 is, interesting. What was that again?
Interesting.
Number 4 is, let's keep this a secret. Pour me another.
That's classified.
And number 5 is our all-time favorite, which is, oh my, I was unaware anything could be this good.
Yes! Yes!
So Alexandria Nicole is definitely a vineyard that I've not had the pleasure of tasting before. I've had a lot of wine from this region of the U.S., not particularly in Washington. It's mostly Oregon proper, through the Willamette Valley. I've had some other things through Washington. I think this is just basically on the other side of the Columbia River Gorge, if I would probably guess right, but I don't know geography well enough to know exactly where this is at in Washington. But these are 3 very interesting wines that we're going to go through. The first one we're going to go through is 2012 Shepherd's Mark, which is a blend, a Viognier blend, and I'll go through the grapes in a bit. 2010 called, we're going to call it Quarry Butte.
Sounds good to me.
We don't know if it's Quarry or Quarry Butte. And the last one is a 2009 Cab. It's a full varietal from the region as well. So I look forward to going through these 3 wines with all of you today and with Ryan. So first up is going to be Shepherd's Mark 2012. And this is actually a blend of Roussanne, Marsanne, and Viognier. And I'm butchered all 3 of those grapes, haven't I, Ryan? Yes.
Because I'm a country boy, I probably say it wrong, too. But
absolutely. Just go ahead, say it. I've butchered all 3 of them.
Sure, why not?
Mike, do not say the word Roussanne. Ever. All right. So, I usually think of white blends as they're either good or they really suck. And there's like nothing in between, So the Shepherd's Mark here, the 2012 Shepherd's Mark, my tasting notes are, I thought that it was a really nice blend. It just, I wrote balanced, sweet,
yes.
And I'm going to steal a couple of your words in advance of me asking what you think, which is soft and lush. And, I think that those are really good qualities, in a white blend. And so my Sips rating for this is going to be 3, which is interesting. What was that again? Ryan, what did you think of Shepherd's Mark from Alexandria Nicole?
I find this blend to be really unique because you don't really see this being produced a lot out of South France. I think this is an interesting take because it is just a little bit more fruit forward. I think it's not quite as minerally as some of the French versions may be. I do, however, give it an A+. I mean, I definitely give it a 4.
Wow.
Let's
Keep this a secret to ourselves. Pour me another.
Jared is doing some really innovative, progressive type things with his wines.
And you're talking about the winemaker and the farmer here, right? Jared Boyle?
Correct. They've got a little over 200 acres that they hand pick.
I'm sorry, you said the word hand pick.
Yes.
In the USA.
Correct. Which is, I mean, it's done, but it's not common, let's put it that way.
Wow.
So you're looking at a very handcrafted, hands-on, labor-intensive wine that doesn't cost a lot of money. All of these wines are line priced at $19.99.
Wow. For $20, that'll find its way into my cellar every single day of the week. I think that's definitely a good bang for the buck. For sure.
What's really interesting is that Alexandria Nicole is also playing around with beer. You've probably heard of a small brewery called Dogfish Head. They...
I think once or twice.
Once or twice you've had a couple other things?
I've had a couple of... just today I've had 90 Minute, yes.
Oh, you're extremely lucky. I hate you at the moment. No, they're giving... Well, I don't know if they're giving them the grapes or not, but...
they're giving away 90 Minute IPA? We're on.
Sure, definitely. They are blending beer with wine, specifically Viognier grapes, to make what is called Noble Rot from Dogfish Head and Alexandria Nicole. For those of you that may not know, Noble Rot is a natural process that goes on during the growth of the grapes after they have maybe ripened enough. So it will pull all of the water out of the grapes and leave the acidity and the sugar levels. It's basically a late harvest style.
It's used in dessert wines and
Correct.
poured, quite a bit. Yeah.
So it definitely adds a little bit of funkiness to it. It definitely adds a different flavor and aroma to the wine, and especially when you add it to a beer, it brings out such a unique flavor that you don't really get a lot from any other style.
Well, I think there are a lot of people that are very excited about certainly a crossover, in between wine and beer, and I really I thought that was a really great story, about in particular just crossing over into beverages and not really think that it's those ingredients are always held within just those particular products, just beer or just wine, and certainly when things cross over. I shared with you earlier I was not a fan of Noble Rot, but it doesn't mean that it's not a great beer, because I think that it's something that, and I think it fits a lot of the Dogfish mold, which is off-centered ales, and I think that
For off-centered people.
I don't know that I would put myself in that light, just yet, but I think that there's certainly aspects of that particular beer that I think once I understood a lot more of the story behind what I was actually consuming, I can really see the quality of all of the underlying ingredients that were coming through, and I think that I would probably set aside, my earlier impression of that and definitely come back and try it once again, because...
Well, in your defense, I have also heard that there has been a lot of batch variation. So you may have had a bad bottle or a bad batch. The one that I had, I chugged. I couldn't help it. I couldn't get enough of it.
Wow.
Give me more. What is that, a 5?
Different segment, different show. Well, crossover between Sips and Suds. I love that. So what is your rating here on Shepherd's Mark then?
I will give it a 4.
Wow. Let's keep that a secret to ourselves. Pour me another. All right. So moving right along then. Next up is the Quarry Butte. Now this is a red blend, and I'm going to try.
Is it though?
I am going to have to. I'm going to have to read all these off, and hopefully I can do a good job of nailing all of these. So
You can't remember them?
no, it's right here on the label. I'm going to read it off really poorly. All right, so it's Cabernet Cabernet Sauvignon, it's Merlot, it's Syrah, it's Malbec, it's Cabernet Franc, it's Petit Verdot. It has the ugly pet dog next door, the 3 dead chickens down the road, and a partridge in a pear tree. So to say that this is a red blend is an understatement. And there's a part of me that I get excited about red blends, and there's a part of me that I just cringe, and I'm like, I wonder what's going to be in store for this, So, I think this is one of those moments where Jared was definitely experimenting, and I love that, when you really kind of see a point of evolution. And actually, I look forward to tasting probably the later blends, as it come along. This strikes me as a blend that's probably been 5 years in the making and is coming along. And I really think, give it another 5 years, and I think that either a combination of the variation of the grapes or the percentage of them will change, where I think it will alter, that blend style over time. But I like it right now. And I don't want to say that that's, bad or anything. I think that the kitchen sink that works is the way I would describe, this red blend. There's raspberries and kind of currant,
definitely.
in this. And
it's so soft.
It's what I would describe as an upscale pizza wine.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
So, Jared, I hope you don't cringe at the thought of me describing certainly your wine in that regard. But my sips rating for this is actually going to be 3, which is interesting. What was that again? Ryan, what did you think of Alexandria Nicole's Quarry Butte 2010?
Because they're taking Bordeaux varietals and growing them in the Northwest, it's obviously going to be different. It's not going to be that huge, tannic, earthy, very powerful style wine. This is ready to drink now. It is much softer, much lighter. I think it's very well balanced. I think it has a great aroma. Price, everything all included, I definitely give it a 4. I'm a big fan of Alexandria Nicole.
A 4, look at that. Let's keep this a secret to ourselves. Pour me another. Wow, that's quite interesting. Of all the red blends that I've had, this is definitely something I would come back to. Probably, I have no idea what's the price point on this.
$20.
$20, wow. Okay, so that's 2 for Alexandria Nicole that are in that price point, and I would definitely
they're all line priced, actually.
I would definitely say bang for buck. I would definitely come back to that, and I really look forward to coming back and hearing what Jared Boyle has in store probably 5 years from now with that blending. So our next wine is going to be a 2009 Cabernet Sauvignon from Alexandria Nicole. This is different, would be the first words that I would describe. Most people tend to think as, Cabernet from the U.S. as California, that big wine, that big peppery, taste. And this is like the flip side of Cab. And
is this really Cab?
Yeah, so maybe that's the best way of describing it. So the tasting notes that I had around this Alexandria Nicole 2009 Cab is approachable, 0 tannins. Zero, like -10. Just like 0 tannins. This is ready to drink now.
And probably won't age very well either.
I agree. I don't think this would actually do very well in the cellar. Actually, I don't think it would turn, but I don't think it would get any better with certainly cellar time. 0 pepper and deep currants is how I would describe some of the taste profile for this Cab. So if you're definitely looking for some alternative Cab to other big Shiraz from Australia, or you're really looking for something that is maybe not in the Napa Valley, Paso Robles, or something that's even a blend in middle part of California, head north. And I think you'll find something very different here from Alexandria Nicole for sure. So my sips rating for this is actually going to be 4, which is let's keep this a secret. Pour me another.
That's surprising. I didn't think you'd rate that as a 4.
I know. You're just kind of blown away. You're like, wow, Mike, of all the wine you've had, I can't believe you, of a cab from Washington, you struck it as a 4 there. So I think it just says something for the grape and Jared as the winemaker, both. That, I can see a lot of winemakers that would actually probably have tasted this in some barrel tastings and would have gone, it's just not going to get there. I'm just going to dump it, and just would have said, I'm going to give up on it. And I'm sure there are a lot of winemakers that do that. And I think that Jared hung tough with it and said, I'm going to go for broke. I have nothing to lose here. You might as well stick it in a barrel for a couple of years and let's see what happens,
I think you hit a nail on the head when you said it shows what the cab grape can do. It can be this, which is super soft, very fruit-driven, 0 tannins, pretty good acidity, but not over the top. It's not over the top anything.
Yeah.
It can be the heaviest.
Why do I have to take a bottle and throw it in the cellar for 4 years to finally reach this point of, I won't call it epiphany, but a tipping point of between approachable and drinkable,
Agreed.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be backwards. It doesn't have to be tight. You don't have to wait 10 years for it. It doesn't have to be so tannic that you've got to have a glass of water right there in front of you to
there you go.
Pair with your wine while you're having a meal. This is a different expression, and I think that's what makes it so unique, and I think that's what sets Alexandria Nicole apart from a lot of other wineries, because you get a lot of different expressions of the traditional grapes, and they're not in traditional styles, so it works well for a lot of people.
I definitely agree, and I think a lot of people are, I like the way we're describing about this, hoorah for the grape,
Definitely.
And,
and for the winemaker, too.
And Jared, for not giving up on it.
It's so tough to do something like this, because as soft as it is, that, to me, will allow a lot of the faults in the wine to show themselves a lot more than when you've got something that's got a lot of tannin in it, or a lot of acidity, or a lot of barrel aging to cover that up. There is no place to hide in this wine.
Well, and I hate, this is going to sound I'm going to check out on you right about now, Mike. I think it is some shifting climate components here as well that I really think, I've always thought that definitely Columbia Valley, Willamette Valley was always just the wine region that was just on the tipping point in the U.S. and I just never really thought that Washington was really going to be in the mix outside of some very sharp Gewürztraminer or some very,
Pinot Noir.
Yeah, or some very sharp, white grapes that I just, I really thought that it was just going to be, a long time. And I think with some elements of climate shift, I think you're seeing some elements of grapes actually shifting further north as well. And I think that's the reason why you're finding the ability of holding cab, in that far, north of a region, I think is actually, contributing to some elements of, a climate shift in Washington as well. Who knows? Maybe it's just a lucky crop from Jared. Who knows? You never know. So
what is really fascinating about this company is they're actually relatively new. If I'm not mistaken, I think they started out in the late 90s and actually had their first bottles in the early 2000s.
Wow.
So they're not as established as some of those guys that have been there, in California for since the 70s.
So this blend we talked about earlier, it may be actually a third or fourth generation blend, and I did not give Jared enough credit to say, I look forward to the next round of that blend. I didn't realize that Jared had been kind of working on winemaking kind of that long, so.
He's actually got a lot of. I mean, his reputation and his resume are actually quite outstanding. He's had a lot of experience with a lot of other wineries that are huge, almost household names.
So here, I'm going to actually pitch it right now, which is, in beer, we always have these collaboration breweries. And I've really enjoyed talking about, collaboration breweries. We should have collaboration wineries. And if I had to put two people in the same room together, I'd put Sparky Marquise and I would put Jared Boyle in the same room, and I would say, here are the grapes, here are the bottles. I want to talk to you guys 3 years from now. Go. And come up with something very interesting. And I really think, I don't know Jared, but I know Sparky, and I would say that knowing their outcome of their products so far, I'd really like to see the outcome of that collaboration. I think that'd be cool.
To see something from Australia in that style, and to see something from the Northwest in that style come together, I think you would find a balance and a complexity there that would almost be unmatched by anything else. Because, you're going to look at that really peppery, in-your-face, high alcohol, big lingering wine from Australia, but you're also going to see the soft, delicate finesse that Jared offers with his Alexandria Nicole Cellars.
Even if there were
stuff.
Cross-sourcing grapes, I think that would be even more interesting.
So, would you play around with barrels too? What kind of barrels?
I'm sorry. I'm a French oak kind of,
I see that. And I give you that.
I just, sorry. I love it. American oaks are always going to be piney, and they're always going to have really, I think, overpower the grapes at times. And
Agreed.
so, I'm sorry, but I love the wood from France. It's just the way it goes. So
I love that thought of them doing a collaboration. He's already done that collaboration with Dogfish Head. Why couldn't Sparky come up or Jerry go down and make something happen?
I completely
I'd love
agree.
to be doing the Molly Duker shake on some Alexandria Nicole wines.
I love that. We're going to call that the Velvet Apple. Since I always think of this part of Washington as being the apple capital of the world, when I've driven through there in Philibert, I think that would be very interesting. Well, anyway, it's I just like the idea, alone. Did I get your sips rating here on the cab?
The cab, to me, because it is such a different offering, because it is something that you don't expect. It comes out of nowhere. I'm a huge believer in Jared. I'm going to say 4.
Wow.
Across the board.
Let's keep this a secret. Pour me another. Well, there you have it.
For $20.
It's 2 4s back to back, and for $20 across the board, man, I'm telling you, pack the cellar, with this stuff as far as I'm concerned.
But drink now.
Drink now, definitely for the cab. Well, there you have it for another segment of Sips with Alexandria Nicole. I really appreciate the chance to taste each of these wines here at Craft Brewed in Nashville, Tennessee. Thank you for being a great host to us again.
We loved it.
Ryan, it's been a great time definitely tasting these wines. I look forward to a lot of great conversations about wine between the two of us.
Thank you, Mike.
And with our listeners. For this sip segment, this is good old boy Mike. I'll ask you to keep on sipping, and
yeah, have a great day, y'all. Hope you enjoyed it.
All right, bye now.
This has been a One Tan Hand production of Sips, Suds, and Smokes, a program devoted to the appreciation of some of the finer slices of life. From the Dude in the Basement Studios, your hosts, the Good Old Boys, will see y'all next time.